Profile photos are starting to become a real problem on the internet, both real ones and fake ones. And it comes down to reverse image searches and facial recognition. The reality is we're all posting huge numbers of photos of ourselves and our friends to the internet all the time, and they're tagged with our names. We're building an enormous database so that anyone who wants to build a system to recognize you on the internet or even on the street can make use of this database to track you. So if you're trying to be anonymous, what photo can you use? You can't use your real photo or it'll be instantly tied to who you really are. But you can't use a fake photo either, because if you say use a stock photo, someone can go to a reverse image search site like TinEye and immediately discover where that photo really came from, whether you lifted it from some other innocent person's website or you pulled it off from a stock photo site. They'll immediately know that. In fact, I've caught people trying to friend me on LinkedIn using stock photo images, trying to infiltrate my social network. So my recommendation is use a cartoon character or some sort of an avatar or a picture of your pet that you have taken that you have never uploaded to the internet. And that is, in many circumstances, normal. You see a lot of profile photos like that. That allows you to have an account that looks ordinary but won't give you away. Another way you can expose yourself inadvertently is just with the way you communicate, with your writing style. In fact, I, back in the 90s, was on a mailing list as myself and with an alias. And as an exercise, I had one of our engineers try to identify who was my alias on this large mailing list. And within a couple of days, he was able to come back and say, this is the alias you were using. And I'd spent real effort trying to hide it, and the way he caught me was through writing style. My choice of words, my vocabulary, the way I sign on and sign off emails and messages. All of these things can give you up. So if you are trying to manage an identity, if you're engaging online, trying to be anonymous, and you write much, more than just 1 or 2 tweets, you need to take extreme care in making sure that the way you write, the words you use, the phrases, even like patterns of sentence length, are different between your real identity and your alias. And if you've got more than one alias, they all need to be different. Or it's very easy for automated tools that are widely dispersed now to tie them back together. The last giveaway is behavior. Just the way you engage with the internet can expose you. This becomes particularly important if you're trying to pretend to be someone who isn't where you really are. I discovered this some years ago that Google actually identifies where your IP address is based on your behavior. It looks at what you search for. Where do you order pizzas? Where do you have them delivered? What driving directions do you have? What schools do you look up? Barbers, doctors, right? All of the things you search for, the vast majority of them are surrounding where you live and work. And if I look at you and all of your neighbors, all of the people in your group of IP addresses, they're all doing the same things. And we discovered that Google was in fact using that to build their locations. We discovered it because we had a group of users who were supposed to be in a foreign country, but were in fact in the United States. And all of a sudden, Google started identifying them as exactly where they really were. We're like, what's going on? Well, it turns out that they were using our tool for personal use, searching for schools and pizzas and haircuts and all of those other things. And so Google quite rationally assumed they were exactly where they really are. And we then had to spend a lot of time training them, A, don't make that kind of operational mistake, but B, then overwhelming the system with our information. But the reality is every website has access to this kind of behavioral information, right? If you go to a news site, what kind of local news are you looking at? The kind of stories and editorials you read will say a lot about your politics. So every single interaction has the potential to leave identifying and profiling information about you. It's critical that when you're using the internet, your behaviors reflect who you want to be seen as and are separate from the behavior set of who you really are. So even with all these tips, the most important thing is to be thinking about what you're doing all the time. Be careful and thoughtful about every click, every word, every message you send, because all of them have the potential to unmask you. If you follow these tips, you're a long ways towards being able to protect your identity and ensure your anonymity. But as we've seen time and time again, even the pros slip up. So really making sure you're extremely cautious and thoughtful is your largest protection.